Before I ever thought about quitting my job, I needed one thing: peace. And this plan gave me that. Hi, I'm Lisa, and I help high performing corporate women transition into entrepreneurship without blowing up their lives. And I want to start this conversation with something that might challenge what you've been hearing. You should not leave your job because you feel ready. You should leave because your numbers are ready. And I say that with so much respect for the emotional side of this journey because I know what it feels like to want out, to feel the misalignment, to feel like you've outgrown your environment, to feel like there's something more waiting for you. But emotion is not a strategy. And when it comes to living a stable income, strategy matters. Now, most advice you'll hear says, save 6 months of expenses and you're good. And I'm going to be very honest with you. That didn't feel like enough for me. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I value stability. And if you're here, you probably do too. So, I want to share what I actually did and why it made such a difference in how I transitioned. I didn't just save 6 months, I saved a year and a half. Yes, a year and a half of funds set aside. And before you think, wow, that's too much, let me explain the thinking behind it. Because this wasn't fear, this was intentional. I ask myself a simple question: what would give me peace? Not just survival, because there's a difference. You can survive on 6 months, but will you feel calm? Will you feel clear enough to make good business decisions? Or will you feel pressure every single month? That question changed everything for me. So here's what I built. First, I calculated my monthly essential expenses, not luxury, not extra, just what I needed to live. Then I multiplied that by 18 months. That became my safety net. But I didn't stop there because savings alone is not the plan. I also made sure that my business was already generating income. Not one good month, not random sales, consistent income. Even if it wasn't full replacement yet, even if it fluctuated between seasons, I needed to see that. There was demand, there was movement, there was proof. And when those two things came together, savings plus consistent income, something shifted in me. The fear didn't disappear, but it softened. Because now I wasn't asking, what if this doesn't work? I was thinking, I have time to figure this out. And time creates better decisions. Now, I want to pause here because this is where your belief might be challenged. You might be thinking, that's a lot. What if I can't save that much? Am I delaying my exit? And I want to ground you in this. This is not about copying my exact number. This is about understanding the principle. Your runway should match your peace level, not someone else's timeline. Because there are two extremes I see at the time, all the time. Women who quit too early, driven by emotion, excitement, or frustration. And then they enter survival mode. Everything becomes urgent. Every decision feels heavy. And that pressure affects performance. And then there are women who stay too long, not because they're not ready, but because they don't trust their numbers. So they wait and wait and wait until the desire turns into doubt now. The goal is not to fall into either extreme. The goal is to build a transition that feels grounded, measured, and supported. And this is where your story becomes important because for me, Having that 1.5 years of financial coverage, along with a business that was already producing income, gave me something I didn't have before: confidence rooted in reality. Not hype, not motivation, real confidence. Because I knew my monthly expenses were covered, my business was moving, and I had space to grow. So when I made the decision to leave, it didn't feel like a leap. It felt like a step, a very calculated step. And this is the shift I want for you. You don't need to be brave to leave your job. You need to be prepared. Preparation creates peace. Peace creates clarity. And clarity builds confidence. So instead of asking, when should I quit? Start asking, what numbers would make me feel safe enough to transition? That's your starting point. And this is the core message again. You don't need more confidence. You need a plan that supports your decision. So, if you want me to create a simple runway calculator you can actually use, comment runway below. I'll know to make that for you. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to turn your corporate skills into a paid online offer. Because chances are you're already more qualified than you think.